You know what time of the year it is. It is finally March, so we decided at UCTV to break down some of our brackets for you. This is the first year women get to call it March Madness, so no better time to begin our own bracketology for this. I'm Mahn.
And I'm Jordan Rosenthal.
Let's get into some UCTV bracketology. So let's start from just the dead center of the bracket. Who do you have as national champion?
It might be a little bit of a homebody pick, but I have UConn winning it all. There's just no team like this team. For the first time, I got to witness this team play in person this year in my life. I have never seen a more dominant team, I think, in any sport ever. They have all their players back, minus Aubrey Griffin, and I think they're ready. I think they're going to use those first couple games to warm up, get the team chemistry going. They're playing in Bridgeport for most of the tournament, if not or the first round at home. I think this team becomes unstoppable.
I would have to agree. I also have UConn winning the national championship, also biased, but just after watching this team and just traveling the journey with this team this season, they have used every obstacle to their advantage. Yes, you may look at their record and be like, wow, this is one of the tougher seasons a UConn team has had, but they have only grown from it. And it's not only that Paige has come back, that we are now at full strength. It's the fact that everyone else is extremely dangerous by themselves. And then you throw Paige into that equation. The past couple of games, she has not been playing that many minutes, and we have been doing phenomenal. So just even adding her back in there makes us such a more dangerous unit, but we are also extremely dangerous with the rest of the players we have. So I could just definitely see UConn winning the national championship, especially in Minnesota, where Paige Bueckers is from. But obviously there is some competition to be had, especially with, I would say, South Carolina. South Carolina, #1 team in the nation, hasn't wavered from that spot all season. They're an extremely dominant unit, and the last time we played them, we did in fact lose. Do you have any thoughts on maybe South Carolina, maybe any of the other teams that could take UConn down?
Also, for South Carolina, I mean, another dominant team. I think they breeze their way all the way to the championship game. When you have a player like Aaliyah Boston, I mean, she's so dominant. I don't think they have any trouble on their way. The only thing I see going on is UConn. That the rest of the one seeds, I feel, make it.
South Carolina was dealt some tricky cards here. Looking at their bracket, they have to face Iowa, who that may settle the National Player of the Year debate right there, because everyone's been wondering, will it be Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston? Maybe we just wait for the game to happen. Whoever wins gets National Player of the Year. And they also have to face North Carolina, who's been able to upset some good teams this season. Arizona, who beat us last year and was in the national championship. It's a little bit trickier than I'd say any of the other divisions. So if they're able to get past that, they may have a lot of momentum. Louisville, on the other hand, Louisville's a questionable team to me. They beat UConn back in, I would say, December, when we were going through the trail of injuries, but they were a good team. They had good shooters, Haley Van Lith, but Louisville has fallen in many situations since losing to Miami that game. Yes, it was a buzzer beater, but I don't know. They've had a couple losses that makes me question if Louisville would be able to get far in this tournament. I think Baylor could overcome them. Melissa Smith, very good player on that team. Baylor's just an aggressive, very aggressive team. So I think Baylor could upset Louisville. Now, the game that me and Jordan have been fighting about this entire time, surprisingly, the Miami South Florida game. Now, Jordan, just tell us why South Florida.
Well, South Florida has two notable wins this year, one against Oregon and one against number 1 seed Stanford. And I know you're going to counter me with Miami's win against Louisville, a team that they lost to twice also. I don't know. Someone's telling me a USF win here. That's my big upset in the bracket.
No, it's crazy.
My
A
big
9
upset.
over 8.
I know.
Who would have
I
seen
know.
it?
It might be a perfect bracket.
USF is a good team. They very disciplined. Their coach is very good. But I just think Miami, off of the Louisville win, they're just gonna keep going. Okay. I just think we'll have to see when it plays out. Maybe that's why they're ranked 8 and 9, because they're just so close
This is the closest matchup
in competitiveness. But USF did play Stanford around Thanksgiving, which is just almost so long ago that they could be a completely different team.
And Stanford's still a 1 seed.
Stanford got their losses out of the way early in the year, and then they just kept pushing through. They caught them at a bad time. I think that Miami could overcome, but I guess we'll have to leave that up to, fate to decide. We both have Notre Dame and Oklahoma advancing, but I have Oklahoma winning. Jordan has Notre Dame. Any reason?
Notre Dame wins. NC State. I'm going to end my list there.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
That's
right?
a good one, yeah.
Notre Dame, they're good every year. Maybe a down year for them. But it's March. And the good teams come out in March. Huge upset 5-4.
Oklahoma has beat Baylor. Notre Dame, on the contrary, although good in some states, we have seen them fall in great ways, like when Louisville was beating them 45-4. That is such a staggering statistic that doesn't fare well in a tournament. So I don't know. I just think Oklahoma could pull off this win. Maybe Notre Dame will overcome, but they just haven't proven to be that team this year.
I mean, you need fuel for your hunger for the championship. That's probably why they went down 45-4. It's probably strategy. To just, push them over the edge, really rile them up.
That's definitely it. No, I bet you they would love hearing this. Women's, I've always seen over the years, they don't have too many upsets, but I think just the rivalry between these top 4 teams, I think that's where anything can happen. Last year, it did not play out as you expected. Stanford obviously was a top seed then, but people thought UConn would make it to the Final Four game, the championship game. People thought South Carolina would make it to the championship game. And it was Arizona versus Stanford, which is not what people expected. So this really could go any way. Stanford, maybe a reigning championship that they would be pining for. They're a pretty good team. Haley Jones, absolutely insane. On the Big East side, we had a lot more teams make it than some may expect. Most people would only think UConn, maybe one other team advanced into the tournament. No, DePaul, UConn, Villanova, and Creighton. That's four great teams. How far will they make it? Who's to say? I have Villanova winning in the first round because Villanova really proved themselves this season. DePaul, great as well. Have a great Anisha Moreau. So many double-doubles, you can't even count. And then Creighton, they've been here, they've been there. I'm surprised Creighton doesn't have to play in like DePaul does because they both lost at the same time in the Big East tournament, but Creighton is a pretty good team as well. So really that could go any way, Big East wise. Do you have any thoughts on any of the Big East teams?
So unfortunately for all the Big East fans, I have all of those teams losing in the first round.
Perfect.
I know. I don't even know if DePaul gets out of that playing game versus Dayton. I don't know why they're in it, like you said, but I don't know if they get out of it. Villanova, even if they lose first round, I think this season gives them a lot to build on. And I actually think that program gets a lot better over the next few years, but I haven't listened to BYU. So
That's valid. I think people underestimate how the Big East for women's actually is quite a little competitive. You know, Villanova really ran us for our money at a point in time, and they had a lot of momentum going for them. So I don't think that these other Big East teams' performance should be compared to UConn's, because UConn has been able to beat a lot of large teams by a lot in the past. So that doesn't discredit how good or how bad they are. Overall, women's is a little tougher bracket wise because we don't see upsets that often. Watch me say this, and then everyone is upset the first round for the women's this year, but we don't see upsets that often. We've seen a couple in the regular season, but it's still surprising to see on the women's side. So you really have to be pretty accurate with your picks. So I hope you have UConn in the national championship, because that would be the right one to have.
like women's tough in general to get those one or two upsets, but I actually think the field is pretty strong this year, especially those like 2 to 4, 2 to 5 seeds. I think they're pretty good. So if there's any year that we see some crazy shakeup, I think it might be this one.
That is true. Remember Coach Oriema said back when they were playing over Thanksgiving, he's like, the field has expanded so much more. It used to just be a rivalry between these top 1 to 2, 1 to 3 teams, but a lot more teams have gotten competitive, and it's made it a lot more interesting to watch over the years. It's not just the same 2 teams winning the championship. A lot of different things can happen, and that might be how it plays out this year. I think that's all that we have for this time. You can join our tournament challenge group on the ESPN tournament app. It's going to be called UCTV Bracketology. We're going to have one for the women's as well as the men's. If you want to see our men's breakdown, just look at our channel, and that's a whole nother video. But that's all from me. Happy March. Get to the madness. I'm Brie Mahn.
I'm Jordan Rosenthal.
Thanks so much for watching.